this week's video. This week we're going to be talking about community, how it's important to build relationships, what that does for your business. We're here to talk about expenses. We're here to talk about manufacturing and retail relations. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. What got you into selling and buying shoes?
So my son, who's 14, came up with this great idea that we would use my money and we would try and buy some sneakers that he likes that have high resale values and find a place in an outlet to be able to sell those shoes if we were able to get them at the right price. So we did, and he kept most of them, and then it came down to where he needed some money, so I just reached out to someone that had a store in the mall, a reselling store in the mall. And through that relationship, as I've always talked about, it's about relationships and how the spider web works. I started selling the owners of Request Boutique that you'll see in this video, some shoes, some sneakers, started buying stuff from them to where I got to a point where Gooseman, who runs and manages this particular location, I wouldn't buy or sell anything without talking to him. Out of that relationship of me continuing to do it, last week I was asked if I was interested in buying 3 of their Corvettes that they had bought. And yes, the sneaker business is working pretty well. And so yeah, last week, out of nowhere, just I bought 2 of the Corvettes so far, one of the owners and Guzman's, and almost close to buying the other. So I didn't go into it with that. It was just sneakers for my son. And now it's grown into a relationship where now I trust him, he trusts me on the car side. It's just amazing to think of the amounts of money that someone can make reselling tennis shoes. So like that, for an example, I won those on
Next one.
I won those on Nike sneakers app. Mm-hmm. They're called Military Black. That's a new color.
I like those.
I don't really like them because I have that same shoe in other colors from years back that I like better. Mm-hmm. I formed this relationship with Guzman, who you will meet, probably now since I've been up here 3 years ago, I met him. He runs this store, Request Boutique. There are 3 Request Boutiques in existence, one here, one in Charlotte, and they just opened a beautiful store in Atlanta. The parallels are people want stuff now. Mm-hmm. They've always wanted them now. But if you didn't win this pair of shoes on the Nike app, mm-hmm. then the only way to get them is for someone like myself that doesn't want them to sell them. So I paid $225. I'm selling them to him for $275. And he sells them for whatever. Not only does he get them from people like myself that sell them, but he also buys shipments of these that never made it where they were supposed to go. Yeah. So he has shoes before they're released from Nike. Mm-hmm. He's already got them. It's a very, very well-crafted, thoughted process to be in a mall right across from athletic stores that don't have these shoes.
Right.
Like they're just not getting them. We barter and argue just like, I would with anybody. He wants this much, I don't want that, pay that much. So we go back and forth till we finally agree on something.
He's your new best friend, isn't he?
Well, but there's also platforms just like in the auto industry that you can check the market pricing of a shoe before you either sell it or buy it. And he does the same thing. Hey, this is what they're selling for, and this is what I'm willing to pay for it, right? Although we've argued about, it doesn't matter what the apps say they're selling for, because his clientele is not credit card buying them with the apps. They're cash buying them. So he can charge more, because also, you get it right now. You don't have to wait for a shoe. Like if I sold this on one of the apps, StockX, Go, whatever, someone buys it in California. I gotta package it up, ship it to StockX. StockX has to verify that they're authentic and then pack it up and send it to the end user. That normally takes somewhere between 8 to 12 days before you get the shoe. You walk in his store, you buy it and it's on your foot right now.
Yeah.
The one thing I do wind up, like I've sold him hundreds of pairs of shoes, and I'm talking about like a lot of dollars have transpired between the two of us, and now we have a friendship and an understanding, basically a partnership. If he needs something in the car business, I'd help him.
Yeah.
I need something he's got, he helps me. And I think that's how you grow your business as well. It's repeat, like I'm a repeat buyer and seller to him now. And I think, well, obviously I've bought some things from him that are up echelon of dollar amounts. I've sold him some things that he couldn't get before or that he needed. But it's about, I feel comfortable with him. Even if I do say, Goose, you're getting me because I'm spending too much, I'll do it there versus someone I don't. One similarity is they hire people that know nothing except shoes. They love them, and then you guys bring them up the chain, right? And
to be able to do something that they actually really like to do. They learn like leadership qualities. They work with people. Obviously, they just get better with communication skills. People, talking to people in front. Things you can't really learn in school.
Right.
I mean, just like the car business. You don't go to school to learn about cars. You gotta, same thing with shoes. You don't go to school to learn about shoes. You gotta learn on your own, essentially.
But the one thing, and I've said a couple of things, is that every time I come here, you can tell people are happy about being at work. That's the difference, right? It's not about the money. I know that's there, and that's why they're happy as well as a young person. That's why they're happy. But when that spills over into what we're doing, like we've talked about before, then that's what happens. Magic happens.
Yeah, it's where they're around, just like how she was. She was very happy to be in here already looking at shoes.
Yeah, she wants to look at stuff.
And now, I mean, it's like everybody else in here. They love to work with each other. We don't have that problem with anybody that, I don't like working with this person. That we take that for granted, but it's a great thing to do because everybody likes to work with each other. You ask them, hey, you have an issue with this person? No, never. They're like my family, you know what I mean?
And I think the other secret is that as they're here they're learning from guys that have started the same way, right? Which is what we do in the car business. I feel like if you've done what they do, you're passionate about what they do. So when they are struggling or when it's not working, you lend in that hand, right? But what you see from your eyes is what they got to learn. So you know what sells, what doesn't sell, what to stock, what not to stock. Now, I think the best thing is when we talk about two different walks of life and people coming together, right? That's the secret. I would have never met him. He would have never met me if it wasn't for that what I was into that you did. Sneakers brought us together from two different walks of life.
Like everybody asked me what's your favorite part about the job, and I was like, well, it's not even just that. It's what you can do for these young people. I'm glad that I'm here every day. I love my job and everything, but I love more to see how much they grow.
Right.
Like from 6 months to a year to 2 years.
The cultures of how Guzman was brought up, how I was brought up, are totally separated. But a car industry and a sneaker industry brought us together, and we're allowed to share some common philosophies about what's gotten me where I am, where he's trying to get in that industry. So Guzman and I have talked about this in lengths as well as I've talked to other people about this, about the knowledge and the comparison that he asked me a lot of questions about, hey, new salespeople, how do I keep them on track? How do I show them that there is a dream that you can run one of these stores now? They went from one store in a small little kiosk with only 96 shoes in inventory. Kind of like I started in this auto industry 28 years ago. And from that, there's now 3 locations, 3 full-time partners, and a whole bunch of staff that they never imagined. And when he asked me those questions, I explained to him that what I want to do is when I finally walk away and can retire, whatever that means. I don't see that, so nobody get any ideas, but I want people to call and say, Ken, look, I just got promoted from sales to finance. Everything that you said and all the things that you taught me put me in that position. I just went from finance, now I'm running a sales tower. Or now I'm a used car manager, now I get to go to the auction and buy cars and all that excitement. Or hey, I just got my first franchise. It's a small franchise, but I'm in charge. And some of the things that you taught me and told me you won't understand now I understand it. Number 9 at UPS,
no, he's gonna be a runner.
When things are going well or when they're not going well or when you're trying to prepare or where there might be a downturn, we never look at small expenses that we don't think add up. And we've had this UPS overnight problem based off of COVID. We have a centralized location for all of our accounting offices, which is not here. And we were overnighting stuff to them, they were overnighting stuff to us. We used to have runners, COVID kind of took that out. So I started looking at expenses that came out of doing things differently than we used to do them. And I recognized that the UPS overnight and FedEx overnight expense was getting astronomical. $5,000, $6,000 a month to send things to our corporate office and have them send it to us. I just want everybody to be aware that there's never a right time. Normally at the end of a fiscal year, we look at expenses and say, oh my God. But if we would have looked every 3 months during the year, what is that savings? And it's not about is that savings getting rid of personnel or stop doing things that people are doing. It's about that we just came up with this idea as a Band-Aid and we let it go for the entire year and didn't realize that, hey, that wasn't the ultimate end solution and we need to fix that. So you'll see in this video that I fixed it and I did it at a less of an expense and actually gave someone that wouldn't have a day-to-day job doing what I asked them to do that. So I created some employment for someone that wouldn't have had it. I think you have to be the one from the business owner and the business that's really in charge of that to look at it. Because if you expect everyone else to look at it, but it's not affecting them, then they won't look at it. Because burning paper, stamps, pens, whatever you would do in your industry, we just order those because they're out. And you have someone that's in charge of ordering supplies, but they're not in charge of seeing where those supplies went. And that's when the expense gets crazy. One of the last things that you're gonna see me talk about in this video is about manufacturing and retailing. And it seems that those gaps are getting farther apart. The manufacturer is incurring a whole bunch of expenses, just like we are as a retailer, but they're protecting themselves. It doesn't matter to me about a manufacturer who manufactures toothbrushes, toothpaste, hairbrushes, deodorant. They're reaching a max of what they're being able to produce, and they're raising that cost to the retailer. And then on the other side of that, the retailer can only have 30 bales of hay to sell at this number of manufacturer suggested pricing. They can't continue to incur the building expenses, the employee expenses that they had when there was an unlimited amount of bales of hay. Just tell them to take on all the bills and all the payroll and everything else that comes with selling cars. If they don't want to do that, then they shouldn't be able to tell you what to sell them for.
Right.
If I could say, hey man, I'm selling Amazon people, I don't want to pay you what you're telling me I gotta pay you. Because if you can tell me what to sell them for, I'm gonna tell you what I'm going to buy it for. Can we do that? No. You just keep raising it. You also raised it to the customer, right? But you want me to protect your MSRP, but you don't want me to protect what I've got going on. So all my employees get paid.
What I did for you.
Right, but all your people are getting promotions, making more money, nobody's fired, they're all at home. To me, it's not only about, as you know, the clients that are buying the cars they get the experience, it's about everybody else that's already bought them. I hope you guys understand that what I'm trying to say is it's not a conflict between the manufacturer and the retailer. It's just that we gotta have some common ground to be able to understand that if the price from the manufacturer goes up, then the margin that we have to sell it for has to go up as well. Or otherwise we can't maintain the level of customer service that we're used to providing. And it's not about the price that dictates that customer service. Sometimes manufacturers think that if their price is cheaper, then the experience for the client is great. I've been in multiple places where prices were less expensive, but the overall customer experience was horrible. And I'm sure some of you have been in places like that as well. We'll still go there because we're saving money. But you would rather sometimes go to a place, especially in today's times, where you're treated for your time, where you are rewarded for being the person you are buying something from the retailer. And that's what we appreciate. So I don't think that price always dictates the service, because I've also been in places where the prices were expensive and the service was just as bad. And that's really what I'm trying to bridge, that gap that you'll see between what the manufacturer's take is and what our take is. And we got to find that common ground in any of the industries that you're in to continue to work in that relationship.
That's it for this week's video. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, like always, put them in the comment box. And we hope to see you next week.